Just minimize that. Thanks for the point. All right, y'all, we're going to get started in a minute. All right, y'all. Shalom Lakam. Shema Yasha'Allah, Yahweh, Allahayna, Yahweh Khad, Yabarakakam, Yahweh, Basham, Hamashiach, Yahweh Shah. All right. This is your brother, Zaquan Shapat, Elder Judge Parazah, with Banya Yasharallah and with Mashara Yasharallah. Children of Israel and the government of Israel. Now, today, right now, as we speak, we are in, as you can see back here, all right, we're in the fourth day of the week. Fourth day of the week. We're in the first day of the month. We're in the first day of the 13th month. And in 30 more days, we'll be going into the first month of the year. So I want you to write this down. I want you to write this down. Get a little notebook or something. All right, get a little notebook or something and write this down. And a lot of y'all right now, some of you are in India. All right, now if you're in India right now, or if you're in a place that's across the Atlantic and it's already dark where you are, then you're going to be in the fifth day, and you're going to be in the second day of the month. And this number right here is going to change to 29, because then you'll be 29 days. You'll be in the first month of the year. All right. So that's only if it's dark where you are right now. Most of y'all I'm talking to are between well, actually, you know what? If you in Columbus right now, it's dark. So for you, Columbus, this is going to be the fifth. If it's dark where you are right now you're in the fifth day of the week. Right now you're in the fifth day of the week, and you're in the second day, all right, of the first month. You're in the second day of the 13th month. And the new year is going to be in 29 days. We'll be going into the first month of the year, all right? So if you depend on where you are right now, this is for you if the sun is still in the sky where you are, if it's still light where you are, all right? But once again, I see Taihan, I see that you're in Azaria. I see that y'all are over on the Eastern Standard Time. So where you are right now, it's dark outside. So if you on the east and if it's dark outside now, then you're right here. You're in the fourth day. You're in the fifth day. You're on the fifth day. The first month. You're on the fifth day. The second day of the 13th month, and you have 29 days until the first month of the year. Okay. But if it's light where you are right now, a lot of us are light. It's in right now. Shalom Laka, Shakara, Garcia God. All right, so right now, if it's light where you are in Mexico, all right, if you're in California, if you're in LA, you know what I'm saying? If you're in San Diego, if you're in Las Vegas, all right, in Phoenix, right now the sun is up where you at. It ain't dark where you at right now. So right now, if it's light where we are, let me pull this back. See, it's light where we are. Hey, I like that. It's light where we are right now. All right, I like it's light where we are right now. So right now, if it's light where you are, I'll keep saying this. If it's light where you are, you're on the fourth day of the week. All right, and you're in the first day of the month, the first day of the 13th month. And we have 30 days until we reach the first month of the year. The first month of the year. All right, so we want to keep that. We want to keep that in mind. Like I said, get you a little book, get a little page, note, and write it down every day it gets dark. That way, you don't got to be worried about what the Gentile calendars say, and we got to start taking responsibility for our own selves and write down, practice, observe our Hebrew Israelite culture. You know, our traditions of the Bible, our culture of the Bible, how we kept time of the Bible in the Bible. So you have to write this stuff down. Whenever it gets dark, get a little book and write, hey, I'm in the second day now. I'm in the third day of the week now. Now, you know, I got the in 2 days is gonna be the new moon. So once you do that, you see on 2 days gonna be a new moon. When it gets dark, once you write that, you can be like, oh man, in 2 more nights, I'm gonna be in a new month. So that means you got 1 night, because once you get right here, in 1 night, it's gonna be the next new moon. That means the next day. That means the next day. All right. And then when you get there, just like right here, we reset it. Like right now, we're on day number 1, and then we on the 13th month, and then we got 30 more days until we get to the next month, which in this case will be the 13th month. All right. So right now, what we want to see, what we want to explain to you is, how do we have 13 months? Because a lot of people did their Purim on Passover. A lot of people did their Purim in the previous month, you know, in sometime in February, you know, which would have been okay if the month started, you know, maybe like in the middle of February. But if it starts at the beginning of so-called February, it's gonna be really out of sync. Okay, it's gonna be out of sync. All right, so now I got a lot to say, but I'm gonna try to say it efficiently and productively. The first thing we want to do to get started is we want to lay out the principles of time from Yahweh. All right. Now, the principle of time, the doctrine of time that Yahweh teaches us is that the darkness, the time begins in the dark. Your count always begins in the dark. All right. So time begins in darkness. Okay. All right. So that's the first thing we have to emphasize this every time. Time begins in darkness. El tiempo empieza en oscuridad, en el oscuro. El tiempo empieza en el oscuro, en el oscuro, darkness. All right. So time begins in the darkness. And to show us this principle, all right, to show us this principle, let's go into Genesis chapter 1. And let's read it from the today we're using a different book. Let's show them what book we're using today. Today we're using the Interlinear Bible with the Hebrew, okay, with the Hebrew, the Greek, and the English, okay. So when you open it up, it has the, you know, English, all a little small column in the middle right here. That's the English. The big column right here, and the big column right here. That's the Hebrew and the English on top of each other. All right, so that's what we're going to be using to read. All right, so any dust coming out of here, man. All right, so this is a big book, so I don't know if you want to set it on the stand as you read it, or all right. So all right, so let's read verse. I'm gonna read verse 1, 1 through 2. And then let's jump to verse 5. All right, it's a big, heavy book, man. Can you handle it? All right, let's read that. Genesis chapter 1, verse 1.
In the beginning.
So in the beginning, which is Ba Ra'ashath. All right, this one Yahweh, you know, outside of eternity, he had a starting point for the creation of all things. Read.
Elohim created the heavens and the earth.
So all of the elements that we needed to have everything that we see and that we don't see. All the elements of creation were made on the first day right here. In the beginning, Elohim created the heaven and the earth. Go ahead.
And the earth being without form.
See, now the earth was without form. That's showing you how the concept and the material of the earth was there, but it wasn't formed. All right, go ahead.
And empty.
It was empty. Go ahead.
And darkness on the face of the
And
deep.
what?
Darkness.
And darkness. You see that? So darkness is the first element from the beginning. Beginning is what? Beginning is the concept of location and or time. Go to the beginning of go to the beginning of the line. All right. Go to the beginning of the chapter. Go to the beginning of the racetrack. All right. Now it also is for distance or a location, but it's also now in this instance we know it's talking about what? Time. So this is the beginning of our elemental time where we are, things that pertain to us, or things that pertain to us as the children of Yahshua Allah, all right, as just human beings, period, on this earth, because every nation, Gentiles and Israelites alike, breathe the air, they drink the water, all right, they get food from the soil, they walk through the sand and through the dirt and through rocks, and they use concrete and adobe. So everybody's using the creation of Yahweh. All right, go ahead.
On the face of the deep.
So darkness was on the face of the deep. Go ahead.
And the spirit of Elohim
Uh-huh.
moving gently on the face of the water.
So what verse you in now?
Let's finish too.
Okay, so the spirit of Elohim, that's going into wisdom, moved upon the faces of the waters. Now let's go into verse 5.
And Elohim called the light day.
So Elohim made the light, and he called the light day. So he called the light day. Go ahead.
And he called the darkness night.
And the darkness was called the night. The darkness was called night. So the day is light, and the darkness is night. Read.
And there was evening.
And there was evening.
And there was morning.
And there was morning.
The first day.
So evening and morning. So when did the first day start? With the evening. The evening. All right. Which in Hebrew we're going to say Irab, which is I had house. So I had house. Now, if you really want to break it down, you can say, I'm going to start to head home. I had home. Your eye, your head, your house. You see that? So when the sun starts going down, your mother used to tell you, when the street lights come on, you better be in the house. Why? Because now you're getting into like middle to late evening. Not early evening, but now you're getting to middle to late evening. So now it's starting to get dark outside. So when the street lights come on, you better be in the house. So that's, you head home. That's the evening. All right. And then next it says morning. So evening and morning, which in Hebrew is going to be Bakwar, right? It's going to be house, like the eye of a needle, or small passageway, like your eyes, all right? And then your head. So you in the house and you kind of waking up in the morning, your eyes get all squinty and stuff. And I can tell you just woke up. Why? Because your eyes are small and everything's puffy around there. Because everything's been relaxed and nothing's been stretched out yet. You know, you got to stretch. Your bones are kind of constricted. Your tendons are kind of tight. You got to like stretch, and that's why you do that, so your blood can get back circulating for movement. All right. So this is the Korwap. Right now for the Korwap, we can deal with like a needle. All right. So it's like a thread going through the eye of a needle. So that's a very precise and detailed action. Thin, but yet it produces a lot. Has the potential to produce a lot, but it takes fine manual dexterity for it to work that way. Right? Manual dexterity. All right. So Bakwar, that's the morning time. All right. So now the evening and the morning were the first day. So in the evening, all right, in the evening, we have the darkness. And in the morning, we have the light. The morning is the second part of the day. The evening is the first part of the day. Every day is like this. So that's one principle that we never want to forget as we read the scriptures, that the time concept of the Most High begins in the evening. Darkness. That means that the first day began with the darkness. And then it says in verse 8, what does verse 8 say?
And Haim called the expanse heavens.
Uh-huh.
And there was evening.
Uh-huh.
And there was morning.
Okay.
The second day.
You see that? So evening and morning were also the second day. So evening and then to morning. Now what happens? So this is day one, and this is day two. So what happens in the morning time? The sun starts to go up, 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 up. All right. And then it starts to go down. All right. So like it was yesterday, was so-called Tuesday, right? So the sun going up on a Tuesday. All right. So the sun went up on so-called Tuesday, right, and came down. All right. Today, this morning, the sun went up and it came down. It's coming down now. So the evening and the morning, darkness, then sunrise, morning, afternoon, then you get into early, mid, and then late evening darkness. All right, ilta in the Hebrew, ilta in the Hebrew, and then you go into what? And then you go into darkness and you begin another day. So evening and morning, which means that the Sabbath day begins in the evening. What evening? The seventh evening. All right, the seventh period of darkness from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Not the morning. The day began with the evening. So that's the concept we want to make sure everybody always understands. And I'm drilling this back home to you so that when you are measuring in your spirit the doctrine that you have heard, me teaching from the Torah, you'll have an understanding from the Torah. Why? Because this is what Yahweh is going to judge us by. If you got to go to some other book to prove something that we see in the Torah, then it's not even really important, for real. Because Yahweh, he's gonna judge us. Yahweh Shai is gonna judge us by the commandments of the Most High. He's gonna judge us by the first 5 books, the books of Moses. That's gonna be our judgment. That's gonna be the code of law that he's gonna use to determine whether we're right or whether we're wrong in our actions, deeds, and words. Okay. So we got the evening and the morning. Now we're gonna move into verse. We're not going to read verse 14 yet. Now let's go into Ecclesiasticus, all right? Ecclesiasticus, you got the red apocrypha around there somewhere. Ecclesiasticus, let's go to chapter 33. Let's go to verse 14, all right? Chapter 33, and let's go to verse 14. Ecclesiasticus 33, 14. I read that?
Good is set against evil.
Okay, so good. Now, give me another word. You right here. Give me another word for good. Give me another word. Give me just a basic. Give me more of a Okay, right. Give me something. Give me a word for good that I can draw. I can make a picture of it. A basic picture. Come on. What about evil? Give me a word for evil. Give me one word for evil. All right, so for good, we have positive, right? So positive is set against what? Evil, which is negative. So this is the good, and this is the bad. See, this is where people get the concept of the Star of David, because this right here is going up. It's plus, plus. And this right here is going down, negative, 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 plus, plus, going up. So I was going up, Now it's going down. So this is where people get the concept of the Star of David from, as well as certain astronomical configurations. Now we know that Yahweh put this in creation. Why? Because when we have the snowflake, when we have the pomegranate, when we have the what? When we have the, what is that? Jimmy Neutron, right? Positive, negative, and electron. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So everything is balanced with the Most High. Everything is balanced with Him. All right. So now good is set against, evil. Okay. So here you have Esau, and then you have Egypt, and you have Jacob, and you have Israel. Okay. Here you have the master, and then you have the slave. Here you have Satan, and here you have Yahushua. Here you have negative, and there you have positive. All right. Okay, here you have let's show it another way. Here you have coming closer, positive, 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 and here you have going further. So good is set against evil. So what the Most High is showing us right here in this verse can be summed up in the fourth pillar of wisdom. What's the fourth pillar of wisdom? Don't everybody say it at once. What's the fourth pillar of wisdom? Somebody write it for me. All right. Alberto, ¿qué tal? Shalom. Shalom, shalom. Okay, Alberto, you almost had me start teaching in Spanish, man. What is the fourth pillar of wisdom? You know, equity. Equity. Okay. Equity. Equity means what? Okay, like here's you have like a little tray. See, that's like a scale, right? This is equity. Everything's balanced. That's equity. So you have positive and negative is balanced. Yahweh says, if you do my commandments, you live. If you break my commandments, you die. That's the balance. All right. If you take away somebody's life, then it's okay for somebody to take away your life. That's the balance. Now read that part again. Ecclesiasticus 33 and 14.
Good is set against evil.
Good is set against evil. Go ahead.
And life against death.
Life against death. All right. So here's life. Like we just said, life is on the right-hand side. Death. Matter of fact, hold that and give me Matthew 15. Give me Matthew 25:31. All right. Matthew, you need a smaller Bible. All right, go ahead. Matthew 25:31. You want to read this one, man? Here, you take my Bible, man. You take my Bible. I'll hold this one. But this is the book, and this is how big my hand is. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So this book is more than than 3 hands breadth. All right, so here's my shoulder, and here's my elbow. So the book is about as long as from the inside of my arm right here to elbow. So it's a big book. It's a big book. Bigger, that's my head. All right. So anyway, let's do Ecclesiasticus chapter. Let's do Matthew 25:31. So remember, we're talking about equity, right? So now, here's Yahushua on the throne. And then here's the sheep on the right hand and the goats on the left. All right, so here's the good and here's the evil. I read Matthew 25:31. Read that.
When the Son of Man shall come in his glory,
Yahushua comes in his glory. Go ahead.
And all the holy angels with him.
So he comes with 200 million beings, angels, that's more powerful than the sun. All right, it says 200,000 thousands, which, all right, 200,000 thousand, 200 million angels that are, each one is more powerful than the sun. It's like a nuclear, every one is a nuclear bomb that can target that energy to anything, and anything will consume anything, and can be targeted in such a way so it only consumes that. Almost like a laser beam. If you point a laser beam at a car, and somebody might be standing beside the car, it can cut that car all up, but it ain't gonna hurt me. So that's what an angel can do. All right, angel can blow up the whole earth, or an angel can take a small grain of sand and explode it, or just make it into nothing. So it's 200,000, 200 million of these are going to be coming with Yahushua. Read that from the top again.
When the Son of Man shall come in his glory.
So Yahushua is going to come in his glory. Go ahead.
And all the holy angels with him.
So the holy angels are going to be with him when he comes in glory. Go ahead.
Then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory.
So he's going to sit on the throne of his glory. So this is going back into that principle that Amadia just read in Ecclesiasticus 33:14. Read.
And before him shall be gathered all nations.
So before him are all nations. Go ahead.
And he shall separate them one from another.
So the nations are going to be separated one from another. Go ahead.
As a shepherd.
Wait. Not religion, not your camp, not what country you were born in, but the biblical nations that we see in First Chronicles, all right, and like chapters 1 through 5, and that we see in Genesis chapter 10. So all nations are going to be gathered, and he's going to separate them. Read.
As a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats.
As a shepherd divided his sheep from the goat. Go ahead.
And he shall set the sheep on his right hand.
The sheep, right hand, good, positive. Go ahead.
But the goats
on the
left.
Left, evil, negative, bad. You see that? So the same thing we see in Ecclesiasticus, this is all throughout the Bible. There's no lukewarm. If you lukewarm, then you get on to the negative side. So there's no lukewarm. There's hot and there's cold. Anything that's not hot or cold gets put onto the negative side. All right, goes to the negative side. Where you think you're a man, that's why if you think you're a man, but you with another man, or you want to have female parts surgically put into your body, that's trying to be positive and negative, and you're going to go into the evil left side, because that's everything with the Most High got to be balanced, got to be positive, all right, got to be righteous, has to be good. It can't be evil, wicked, or negative. So you have to have that spiritual balance within yourself to recognize and see the evil, but walk in and do the good, no matter what temptation is presented before you. Read.
Then shall the king say unto them on his right hand.
On his right hand, go ahead.
Come, ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world.
All right, so these ones are going to go into the kingdom. Go ahead.
For I was hungered, and he gave me meat. I was thirsty, and he gave me drink. I was a stranger, and he took me in. Naked, and he clothed me.
Go ahead.
I was sick, and he visited me. I was in prison.
Now go to the ones on the left. Keep reading to the final verse. We'll talk about the ones on the left.
Then shall he say also unto them on the left hand.
The left hand, the evil, the negative. Read.
Depart from me.
Depart from me. Go ahead.
Ye cursed.
Now everybody's before him. Go ahead.
Into everlasting fire.
Man, he's gonna depart them into everlasting fire. This ain't no parable, man. A lot of people think that the lake of fire is a parable for nuclear weapons. Well, nuclear weapons may be considered to be a sort of, hell or lake of fire, but this is happening when all the nations are before him, and he's separating them, and he's telling the righteous to come on into the kingdom. They tell the wicked, go to the lake of fire. Read.
Prepared for the devil and his angels.
Same thing we see in Revelation 21. All right, go ahead.
For I was hungered, and he gave me no meat.
Okay, so you didn't have basic compassion toward Yahweh Shai or toward his sheep, toward his people. All right, that's it for there. Let's go back into Ecclesiasticus, man. Ecclesiasticus chapter 33:14. Now remember, the first principle we started out with was what? Time begins with darkness. All right, so let's put this over here. All right, so time, well, darkness starts time. All right. And we see this being taught. This is why when you go into Timothy, it says all scripture is given, because Yahweh inspired it. And you use that for teaching, for doctrine, for righteousness. You have to use the Torah to establish all of your doctrines, man. If you got a doctrine that ain't in the Torah, then it's a doctrine that ain't really important. The Torah gives you everything you need. And then from there, you may be able to go into, partes diferentes de la Biblia, pero todo está completo. Todo que necesitamos, que requeremos para la vida, se encuentra en los primeros 5 libros de la Biblia, y después vamos o continuamos a otra parte de la Biblia. So what you need, you find in the first 5 books of the Bible, and then once we get that, we move forward, into other books of the Bible. But it starts with the Torah first. So we see from the Torah, we went into Genesis, that that dark starts time count. All right, that darkness started time count. Salakia. All right. All right, so we got 2 classes going on right now. Okay. We got 2 classes going on right now, so it's a lot of activity and people are excited, Anyways, so here we go again, said the famous Chuck Brown. So dark starts time count. So darkness starts the time count from Genesis chapter 1, verses 1 through 2. And then when we read verse all the way down, the whole chapter, we see it's always evening and the morning. Evening, the darkness starts that count for the day. All right, so go back to Ecclesiastes chapter 33 and start off from 14 again.
Good is set against evil, and life against death. So is the godly against the sinner. So the godly is against the sinner, the balance, the positive and the negative, which is also showing you the 4th pillar of wisdom. All right, which is what? All right, so we're going to go to the second principle,
is equity. Okay, which in the Hebrew is, well, let me write it across. Is Ma Yasharyam. Ma Yasharyam. All right, Ma Yasharyam, if you need that. Ma Yasharyam. All right. Which is like up. Yashar means upright. All right, it's upright, meaning everything is balanced out. Because once you have them scales, all right, it ain't upright no more if it's not fair. If it's not balanced, it ain't upright no more. Now it's going down over here, and that side is going up. The sides ain't equal. It ain't upright. This one is down, and this one is up. So it's got to be upright. They got to be balanced and fair. Can't be too low and can't be too high. Now, people talk about don't be too righteous, don't be over much wicked. What that means, too righteous, is now you're going to seek about your own righteousness. You're going to seek about your own, being ignorant of Yahweh. Now you're going about seeking your own, establishing your own righteousness. All right, so read that part again.
Good is set against evil.
Okay.
And life against death.
Life against death.
So is the godly against the sinner.
So is the godly against the sinner. All right. So the godly is set against the sinner. So it shows that everything is balanced. So now this brings us to a principle. All right. Let's come into a principle. Let's show this principle now with the time. All right. Now over here you have a moon that's black. New moon. In the middle, Mazama, I'm not Mazama, but Mayashardium, you have something else. You have a white moon. That's the balance of it. So this is a principle that the Most High teaches us. Over here, you have the dark moon. All right, let's right, so you have let's call that a positive because it's right in front of the sun. It's closer to the sun. And let's call this one negative because it's further away from the sun. Remember, we already established that this one was coming closer and this one was going further. You see that? So this is the new moon in the dark. And this is the what? The white moon in the my lettering is off today, man. In the middle. All right. So that's how it works. This is scaled off. And that's what we're learning in Ecclesiastes 33. Continue reading. I mean, no, when you finish reading 15.
And the sinner against the godly.
Uh-huh.
So look upon all the works of the
what? Look upon what?
All the works.
Look upon all the works. Read.
Of Yahweh.
Of Yahweh. Go ahead.
And there are 2 and 2.
There are 2 and 2. Beginning, middle. Full of no light, full of light. 2 and 2. Now, let's draw the balance of that. Let's do the balance of what we just read in the scripture. Let's read it. Okay. Let's draw the balance. Okay. Let's say everything it starts out, light is positive, right? So we'll put that right here. All right. So in this scale, is and this girl right here is a new moon. All right, a new moon. So now, as we get towards the white moon, all right, more light, until we get right here. All right, which really gonna be all the way down low key, but we're just talking about the principle of the balance. All right, so we have the new moon, and the balance of that is going to be the white moon. Now, let me show you something else. Once we have the new moon starting, we know we have the balance of it. After we have this new moon, what do we have then? You got this right here. That's what we have. We have a crescent moon. Now, the problem is this. Once we get over here, we have the white moon. We don't have this until after the white moon. And then we have a little crescent over here. All right, about 14 to 15 days after. So you call this day number 1, 2. Let's say on a 30-day month. Let's say day number 15, 14, 15. Right. So this right here is gonna be day number about day number 28. Or the beginning, if it comes in at the beginning of the day, you can call it day number 29. Like right as the sun's going down, you see a little crescent. Then the next day, sun going down, you be in a new month. Right? So now this is the problem. There's no significance in this phase, though. It means nothing. So when you assign all of the meaning to this phase, and you say it means something, you void out any significance that this has, all right, that this has, and that this has. There's no balance with Ecclesiasticus 33 because it has to be positive and negative. Read that part again about the good of one thing.
Good is set against evil, and life against death.
Give me it. Oh yeah, verse 15. Verse 15. I'm thinking of 43 in this one, 42. Read verse 15.
So look upon all the works of Yahweh.
All the works of Yahweh. Go ahead.
And there are two.
Stop. There are two. Here's the one that's significant. Here's the one that's significant. And here's the other that's significant. This is the beginning. This is the middle. All right. This is what it looks like once it's already started from this. And this is what it looks like once it begins to go back to, once it's about to go back to this. So 2 and 2, 2 phases and 2 phases. All right. So we got 2 phases here, the full moon, and then we have the new moon, which is the white moon. And then we have 2 phases here, the waxing crescent, and then we have the waning crescent. And in between those, in part of that cycle, we have the full moon, and then we have the black moon, which is the new moon. So it's 2 and 2. There's a balance of it. But if all you're doing is saying, well, the crescent moon is the beginning, you don't have no balance. You don't have no 2. What's the other one? What's the other significant phase? Here we have a crescent that starts, that if you want to say, we're going to start our count and recognition of the month right here. So according to the word of the Most High, you should be ending your count right here, but you're not. You're not. That's why the Most High gave you 2 direct opposites. 2 direct opposites. One is dark, one is light. See, with this one, it's mixed together. Little bit of light, bunch of darkness. little bit of light, bunch of darkness. But we already established the first principle in Genesis 1, that dark starts time count. We can't start the time count in a little bit of sunlight in the morning and say now we're in the Sabbath. So you can't do that with the new moon either, because the Most High, his science, his math is always right and exact. And I'm going to show you, because you might be thinking to yourself, well, what does that have to do with a 13-month year? We're going to get into that. But first, we want to establish these principles and give you a thorough understanding, because they're based on the Torah. Because what do we see? Okay. And you may say, well, how is it based on the Torah? Okay. What did he create? What was the first thing created by the Most High? What was the first, thing created by the Most High? Light or dark? Dark. What was created after that? Light. So there we go. That's Ecclesiasticus right there. All right. That's Hey, Shalom, Mark. Sí, ya estamos así como un clase en vivo sobre como el año que tiene 13 meses.
All right.
Y sí, estoy como grabando ahora.
Okay.
Pero no, es un transmite. Es un transmite ahora como en Facebook y también en YouTube.
Sí, ahorita en Facebook. Sí, en Facebook es donde los ve a veces en vivo.
Okay.
Okay.
Y que te llamo después, ¿ok? Okay, shalom. Yeah, so the principles of the light and the dark are established in Genesis. The Most High shows us the balance, and then we see this same thing created throughout history. There's no mixing. The whole history of the Bible, the prophecies of the Bible, is about light and dark being separated. And once they come to a full separation, we begin a new phase. That's why once the moon is full of light, we say, okay, now we're going to do this holy day. And once the moon is totally void of light, we're going to say, now we're going to begin a new count. Once the day is void of light and darkness is on the whole earth, we say, okay, now we're going to begin a new day. And once we get the day that's full of light, we say, oh, now it's high noon. So we as humans, we set that same balance amongst ourselves. All right. So now we see that the Most High established 2 and 2. Read.
One against another.
All right, one against another. Okay, let's go to Ecclesiastes 42 now. Now we're going to get into, well, we're about to move over here. That's where we're going to start the actual class about the month at. All right, go ahead.
All things are double.
All things are double. Which one is 2? Now, we already established this principle when you look at the It's About Time number 8. We showed you the number 2 for the new year using the constellations and using the course of the moon as it travels through the different 12 star group constellations that people erroneously call a zodiac and try to use for all types of witchcraft and all kind of madness. But it's really just a big old clock to tell you the time, the seasons, days, and the years. Okay, read.
One against another.
Once again, we see this all throughout the Bible. One against another. That's the day. And then you have what? You have the night. You have day and the night. You have the day and the night. And when you the baby is in darkness, and then when the mother has the baby, they say dar la luz, that the mother gives the light. Say that cuando se da la luz, cuando da la luz. Okay, dar la luz, give the light. Let the baby out, and then the light, the baby is out in the world now. And so these are principles that all throughout the Bible, you can't deny it. So when you want to say, you know what, let's mix it together. The Most High separated the light from the darkness. He separated the light from the darkness. So how are we going to start to count a significant phase with light and darkness mingled together. The beginning of the month, darkness, no light is mixed with it. The middle of the month, when we count the holy days, the moon is total light, no darkness is in it. Okay, go ahead.
And he hath made nothing imperfect.
What?
And he hath made nothing imperfect.
That means that there's always a perfect balance into every phase the Most High shows you. So let's put that 3. All right, there's a there's a balanced. Actually, let's do this. It's perfect. Perfect. We say contrast. Let's put contrast. And we're going to show this with the constellations also in a few minutes. All right, so don't go nowhere. Go ahead.
One thing establishes the good.
You see that? One thing establishes the good of what?
Of another.
Of another. See, the things are balanced out. So the white moon establishes the good of the black moon, and the black moon establishes the good of the white moon. But the waxing crescent does not establish the good of the waning crescent. All right, and the waxing gibbous does not establish the good of the waning gibbous. They don't establish each other. They don't establish the good of each other, but they do give us that what? That Ecclesiasticus 33 and 15. They do give us that balance, that setting against each other, so they keep the scales tipped. So if you draw out a picture, you can show, okay, white moon, you can show like a white moon, a full moon, right? White moon, a full moon. I'm sorry, white moon, new moon. And then you can show a what is it, Amaria? You can show a waning gibbous under the white moon. Then you can show a waxing crescent under the full moon. All right. And what happens? They fit each other perfectly. Did you know that? They fit each other perfectly. The waxing crescent fits into the waning gibbous. They fit perfectly. So when you have that waxing crescent, what is the significance of the waning gibbous? Nothing. But when you have that fully waned moon, a light which decreases in her perfection. Remember, we got that what? Perfect contrast. You just read that in what? What verse you read that in? Is that what you just read? Read that again. Have you read that yet? Okay. Did you read after that? Okay. So now, when you have that gibbous, when you have that inferior conjunction, when the moon is void of light, it's dark, it's black. Okay, my little beard hair is tickling my nose to make a video. Here, powers up, man. He a cokehead, man. Smacking his nose on the video, man. He could be sniffing coke. Watch him. Look at that. All right. So anyway, so now when you have that waxing, when you have that totally void of light, that waned moon, that's the new moon. And if you take that moon full of light, that's the exact opposite of it. And you put them together, you got one moon. One is full of light, one is full of light, one is dark. You put them together, bam, they're complete. Okay, they're complete. If you take a first quarter moon and you take a last quarter moon, put them together, you got one moon. You got one moon. You see that? So these different phases go together and they balance each other out. So the Most High said, okay, so now I'm going to begin this thing in the darkness. And then when it's time, when it's high time, when it's midday, it's going to be full of light. When it's midday or mid-month, it's going to be full of light. Same thing, you know, we see the same kind of cycle with the day. All right. So we say, let's say 6 at night, the sun goes down. 6 in the morning, the sun comes up. And then noon, we have a high moon, high sun in the sky. Then 6 p.m. again. So within that 12-day cycle, we have that 12-hour cycle. We have high, we have darkness, we have darkness, and then it goes to a lot of light, and then down to darkness again. All right. So now let's read that verse again.
One thing establisheth the good of another.
So everything, the moon, the calendar, the constellations, the righteous use for time purposes of what they call the zodiac. Read.
And who shall be filled with beholding his glory?
You cannot be filled with beholding the glory of the Most High. You read 25. All right. You can't be filled with beholding the glory of the Most High. Meaning what? You always going to be amazed at stuff the Most High got going on. You're always going to be amazed. It's knowledge out here that you can never consume all of the knowledge on the planet. You know, you can't even consume all the knowledge about yourself. You can't even consume all the knowledge of a piece of paper. Piece of paper. You can't consume all the knowledge of a grain of sand. You see that? When in comparison to what we have, it can't even quantify. All right. If you divided everything in the universe, it'd be just into knowledge portions. It'd just be an infinite number of particles smaller than a grain of sand, nanoparticles. All right. It's really infinitesimal, smaller than the eye can see. And it goes on infinity, smaller and smaller. And the outside goes on infinity, bigger and bigger. And guess what? What you see in front of you, when you look in the mirror, when you're washing up, that's the balance. Everything in you, smaller, small, small, small. Everything outside you, bigger, bigger, bigger. Add on, add on, add on, add on. That's how the Most High works. All right, so now we got that. So now we're going to erase this. Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon 7 and 19. All right.
The circuits of years.
The circuits of years. Go ahead.
And the positions of stars.
The position of stars. So Solomon knew the circuits of years and the position of stars. Now, this is in the Greek. So we're talking about time, and we're talking about astronomical bodies. We're talking about celestial bodies. So what we're going to do, since it's in the Greek, we're going to go to two scriptures. All right, go to the first scripture right here. All right, we're going to go to two scriptures. Go to 1 Samuel 7:16. All right, 1 Samuel 7:16. We're going to go there, and we're going to show you how this word circuit is used in the Hebrew in the same context. All right, read.
And he went from year to year.
So he went from year to year. All right. Okay, let's start in 15.
And Samuel judged Yashar'allah.
So Samuel was the judge of Yashar'allah. Go ahead.
All the days of his life.
Mm-hmm.
And he went from year to year.
Now he went from year to year, Shana to Shana. All right. We just read about that. All right. We read about Shana to Shana. Okay. That's probably gonna be Shana La. Shana. You should probably read it in the Hebrew. Go ahead.
In circuit to Bethel.
In what?
Circuit to Bethel.
So it said in circuit. Bueno. Okay. So he went in a circuit. Samuel was a judge, and he went into a circuit. Read.
And judged Yashar'allah.
And judged Yashar'allah.
In all those places.
And judged those places. Judge Yashar'allah in all those places, right? So he went in a circuit. Now, this word we see right here for circuit is this word right here. All right, that word right there. All right, which that word, when you look in the scripture, not just the root word, but the word itself is used, the root word itself is used, which is this, which is sabab. Okay, sabab. And sabab is a word that means to enclose or to encircle. All right, sabab, like surround. All right, and you have So sabab, and so you have like a support, and then you have house, support, house. All right, support, house. All right, so this is the word that's going to be used for to surround something, sabab. So sabab, to surround, to encircle, circuit, circle. All right, circle or circuit. Okay, circle or circuit. All right, so sabab, right here. Man, they got us what? Here's the bad guys in the middle. And here's the good guys. And there's the bad guys, see? So the good guys got the bad guys what? Sabab. They got them surrounded. Come out with your hands up. We got the place surrounded. And then brother come out with his hands up. And the police shoot him dead. They shoot him dead. Right, so try not to have no dealings where the police gonna be involved or gonna need to get involved or somebody else gonna try to act like they want them involved in nothing. All right, in nothing. All right. Okay, so Ikaran, Shalom, Mak Shalom. Eliyah Yasharal, hallelujah, Chicago elders. Or hallelujah. All right. So now let's go into Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 6. So sabab means to surround. All right. So now we got another word. Now you have to call a divine prospect for, for the breakdown of the different parts of the world, man. Parts of the word for the PL, and you call Malachi Maccabee for the PL and the TL. And I'm learning about the different words that we use, but this one is Sa. Sayabath, Sabiyabath, okay? Sabiyabath. Sabiyabath. Yeah. Right, Sabiyabath. And I know this usually is a feminine suffix. I know that one. Sabiyabath. Sabiyabath. All right. So let's just write it in the Hebrew. I gotta read that. Ecclesiastes 1 and 6. Read that.
The wind goeth toward the south.
So now we're talking about, things on the earth in motion. Go ahead.
And turneth about unto the north.
And turneth about to the north. Go ahead.
It rolleth about continually, and the wind returneth again according to its circuits.
According to its circuits. All right. So it moves according to its circuits. So the circuits is a predetermined path that it goes in. It is not the path, but it has a predetermined path that it is going to move into. And when you look at the slave ships and the trade routes that they use in the Americas, those trade routes was that how Yahweh had the wind set up to move different directions that brought people from West Africa directly to America, directly to the Caribbean, directly to Brazil, from West Africa and from Europe. So the Most High had that set up so that they could bring the children of Israel on ships into the Americas. And then once you got to them places on ships, you would be sold as slaves. And then once slavery was over, you would try to offer yourselves again for service, but they wouldn't redeem you. They wouldn't buy you into, to redeem you from the bondage that you were in. They still try to have you go to jail and work for free. So you still got no compensation of the place that you came to on slave ships. All right. So it's a, you know, and I was looking at once again, Divine Prospect last night, this morning. There's a time span, if you look at the whole picture between the slave ships and then offering ourselves, because that's what it says in Hebrews. And I was wondering, I was like, man, this it says offer ourselves or offer ourselves for sale. But then I said, well, you know, we could offer ourselves for sale, you know, if things got so low for us. And they say, nah, we're not going to buy y'all. We're not going to redeem you from this captivity. We're going to just take you and put you and have you doing what we want to do. We want you to do for us, and we're not going to give you compensation at all. And sure enough, I looked at the brother's video last night, and that was the same. It was the exact same thing. That's what it meant. That's what it meant. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it meant. So, you know, but there's other scripture where it does talk about the land of the north and being taken from there and being brought to there. You know we got there on ships, but I think that the 1619 is covered from Deuteronomy 28:68 covers 1619 start all the way up until now. Because we still cannot get no type of financial assistance, righteous financial assistance, to help redeem ourselves out of this captivity, out of this condition that we were brought into, all right, on ships. All right, so Sabia Batiath, all right, so is the circuit once again. So now when we go back into the Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 17, verse 19, we're dealing with a circuit. He said the circuit of what? The circuits of years. And when we go into Genesis 1:14, he said that he put different signs up there for years. So 7. So 1, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 6. So 1, 5, 6, 7. 1. All right, so it goes like this. Let's say 1, 7. You want to say you got 5 that's in between. You got 6. No, you got 5 in between here. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. All right, so now 4 is going to be like this. That's going to be 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. And then we have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 7. We have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right. So now we're going to get into the meat of the class now. I know. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1. All right. So now this right here is the first constellation. Remember, that's the first constellation. This is the month, the first month. All right. And this is the 7th month. All right. Shabbat. Shabbat 7. This is Abib 1. All right. So now let's go into Wisdom of Solomon 13, verse 1 and 2. And once again, we're getting up to the point, and we're going to erase this. Actually, let's go to Wisdom of Solomon 1. I read that. Wisdom of Solomon 13, my bad. 13, verse 1 and 2. No, give me, no, I'm just joking. Give me 13, verse 1 and 2.
Surely vain are all men by nature.
So by nature, our very nature, we vain. We vain. You know, we deal with things that don't mean nothing. We worry about stuff that's insignificant. Read.
Who are ignorant of Allah.
So you're ignorant of the Most High by nature. So then by nature, you're vain. All right, when we're ignorant of the Most High. Go ahead.
And cannot out of the good things that are seen know him that is.
Man, you are ignorant son of a gun if you can't look at the righteous things and the beauty that the Most High created and know that he exists. Go ahead.
Neither by considering the works did they acknowledge the workmaster.
So you don't look at what he did and consider him. Go ahead.
Redeemed either fire or wind.
You said fire or wind. Go ahead.
Or the swift air.
Or you say that the air. Go ahead.
Or the circle of stars.
Or the what?
Circle of stars.
Or the circle of stars. All right. So that's going to be the Kawab. The Kawab Kawakabium. Kawab Kawakabium. The circle of stars. The circle of stars. So the circle is singular. The stars is plural. The circle is singular. The stars, the groups of stars are plural. Just like you might see, there's the constellation that makes up the bull. But it's little. Okay, give me an example. Just like if we want to play. Okay, I'm gonna give you an easy one. Okay, if we connect the dot, what is that? Well, I mean, what arrow? If we play connect the dots, that's the arrow. Okay, bam, 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 bam. If we want to play connect the dots, that's the arrow. But see how we have many dots, and those many dots give us one beautiful picture drawn by the artiste of the tribe of Gad, the Palzah Bangad. All right, feast your eyes on this. All right, Metropolitan Museum of Art Material right there. You know what I'm saying? The Louvre in Paris. All right, put that in the Louvre in Paris. Arrow, circle. All right, so not real, but now, so you see how this is a beautiful picture, but it's a bunch of little dots. That's how the constellations are. It's a bunch of stars and dots in the sky, but Yahweh arranged them so that they make beautiful shapes. And this knowledge was passed down from creation. All right, and it's not in a lot of these other books because a lot of these other books wasn't put together by the Most High. This is the foundation of the years, the days. This is the clock that everything is running off of in the universe. That's why you never see snow. You know, well, I won't say never. That's why you don't plant in the 7th year. You harvest in the seventh phase. Here it starts to get cold. And now you got 2 months to get the soil ready. Then these months, the soil sits. And then you start seeing growth right here. And by here you see growth. And then once you move into the middle of the 15th month, right there. Now the moon, remember, the moon is going around all this, and we're going to get into all of that also. Okay, the moon travel. Okay, we're gonna get into that. All right, so now we got the Kawab Kawakabium, meaning the circle of stars. All right. Now remember, we already read that one thing establishes the good of the other. So the good of the first month, when the sun and the moon are going to be passing through Aries is going to establish the good of the 7th month, the 7th constellation, when the moon is going to be right here every single Pesach. That's why he says signs, season, days, and years, because our significant days and our years line up with a pattern of the constellations. They line up with a pattern of the constellations. All right. So now what we do is let's go into Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 13, and read verse 2 again.
But deemed either fire or wind, or the swift air, or the circle of stars,
or the circle of stars. Go ahead.
Or the violent water,
or violent waters. All right. Go ahead.
Or the lights of heaven,
or the lights. And remember, I always point this out. The lights of heaven is talking about Genesis chapter 1, verse 16. The circle of stars is talking about Genesis chapter 1, verses 14 and verses 14 and 15. Okay. So what we have to do is, understand and recognize these things. All right. And once we understand and recognize it, then we can, know for ourselves, what the Most High has given us and how to do everything. Because you can do this on your own, right? You can do it, for yourself. It's not, something that's like super difficult or whatever. You could do it yourself. All right. I'm not doing nothing that you can. That's why I'm here teaching you. So you can take it, get the foundation, get the principles, and move on. That's what we're supposed to be doing. We ain't supposed to be just trying to hoard men, and we're supposed to be spreading this word, spreading this truth. And this is part of the truth, because this shows us how to do our days, how to do our calendars, how to do our new moons, how to do our years. All right. How to do our years. All right. So now, he says the circle of stars and the lights. So why does Solomon, in all of his wisdom, divide those two? Because he knows that from Genesis chapter 1, we see the same thing happening. We see you put the lights in the firmament of heaven, let them be for signs, for seasons, signs, season, days, and years. And we went over that. Go back and look at It's About Time, number 8, and we talk about in there how the seasons are going into a Hebrew word moedim, mawaidyam, which means seasons, or the movement into a specific fixed and pegged position that you can see and recognize and intake with your eyes. All right. Now you have the power in your hand to do certain movements yourself. Mawaidyam. All right. Mawaidyam. That's what the word means when we look at the pictographs. All right. So basically, seasonal occurrences, things that occur in a cycle, things that are occurring in a cycle. All right. And I'm really excited about this because for so long, there's been so little information for us to, share and show. All right. With people about time and about the year and about the month and about the week and about the holy days and how we calculate them. So right now we're probably about, at a significant point of the video of the class now. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start to shift. Now we're going to shift to, we've established these certain principles: darkness, equity, and contrast. That's what we can narrow this down to: darkness, equity, and contrast. We're dealing with time. When we're dealing with time, we're starting with darkness. When we're dealing with all of the principles of darkness of the scripture, we see darkness and light. We always see that what? That equity, that contrast, when the scales are balanced. And we have that contrast. Now remember also that when you look at the lunar cycles, go look at a lunar cycle. And on the calendar that shows you how the moon looks of its 29 and 30-day cycle, and cut out little pictures or whatever, and then take the new moon at the top and then take the full moon at the bottom, and you put them together, you got one moon. Now take the waxing, the waxing crescent after the new moon, and take the no, I'm sorry, the full moon is gonna be I said the full moon, right? Yeah, okay. Take the waxing no, take the waning gibbous after, divide it into the days before the full moon and then the days after the full moon. All right, because you got the full moon is a significant phase. So if you take the waxing, if you take the waning gibbous and you put that with the waxing crescent, just put it like this: the portions of the waxing crescent, all right, and the portions of the waning new moon, the waning full moon, they fit together. All right, the portion of the waning crescent, all right, fits into the portion of the waxing gibbous. So they all fit together. I'm gonna do a video one day. I'm gonna show you how all these pieces fit together. We're gonna assign numbers to them, and then we're gonna show you how all the numbers always gonna add up to 1. All right, all numbers are gonna add up to 1 because the full moon itself is always called 1 in the fractional illumination. It's 1. It's fully illuminated, as opposed to the new moon is called 0.00 in the fractional illumination. So we'll divide everything up. We can say we'll divide everything up. Let's say from we'll divide them up, call them each number, and then we'll just bam, we'll piece them together. We're going to be able to piece them together. Right now, we probably won't use fractions. So we'll probably just use a nice round number, like, you know, a nice Hebrew number like 12. You know what I'm saying? So we'll call like the middle. Oh, we can say 14. I say 12 is better because it's not biased toward the middle of the month. 14 is kind of biased toward making everything center around the middle of the month, right? All right. So anyway, now we're going to start to shift from. We're going to get one scripture about this circle. Let's go to Isaiah 40 and 22. All right. When you put it down, just go ahead and set it right there on the area right there. Go ahead. But go ahead and read Isaiah 40, 22. And then we're going to erase this off the board. All right, in a minute. Go ahead.
It is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth.
The circle of the earth. What's that word there is Hawab. That it? Go ahead.
And the inhabitants thereof are as grasshoppers, constructed out of the heavens as a curtain, and spreadeth them out as a tent to dwell in.
Okay, so he stretched the heavens out as a tent, you know, as a tent to dwell in. And in this tent, we have pegs. All right, we have pegs. All right. So now that's this right here. Now, when we deal with this circle of stars, so I mean, we're gonna erase this now. Now, I hope everybody's taking very good notes, because these are my notes right here. These are my notes. These are my notes. This is so I hope everybody, I should be able to inbox any of y'all and say, hey, you know, what a wonderful time to play. Hey, right? So I should be able to say, hey, I need the notes from the class that we did on the first day of the new month. And you should be able to, like, bam, there you go. I got them. Let me inbox them to you. So I'm going to need these notes, y'all. So if somebody got the notes, please let me have them, because I ain't got them. These are the notes. These are the notes, all right? We put them all together. Bam, bam. From the beginning, we got stuff up here that we don't even, we erased it. So I hope everybody drew some nice little pictures or whatever. I'm going to go back and look at it myself if I need to, because this is a good, this is a good way to see everything for yourself, all right? So now, we're going to erase this. So we dealt with sabab, all right, which means to surround. Then from surround to sabab, we went to the word circle to show that it was talking about a circular shape, all right? And then we went into the scriptures for the circle. Then after the circle, now we're going to go into the constellations, all right? Now let's go to Job chapter 38 verse 32 and 33. Are you there already? Okay, look at you. Look at him. You're there already. All right. Go ahead.
Canst thou bring forth Mazzaroth?
Can you bring forth Mazzaroth? Go ahead.
In his season?
In his season. Go ahead.
Or canst thou guide Arcturus with his sons?
Arc is A-R-C, right? Can you guide Arcturus? A-R-C-T-U-R-U-S, right? Arcturus. Or M-A-Z-Z-A-R-O-T-H. Matter of fact, man, go up to verse 31. Let me show you how Yahweh is. Read verse 31.
Canst thou find the sweet influences of Pleiades?
Spell Pleiades. P-L-E-I-D-A-D-S. P-L-E-I-D. P-L-E-I-D. Okay, you're saying A-D. It's confusing me, man. P-L-E-I-A-D-E-S. Pleiades. Go ahead.
Or loose the bands of Orion.
The bands of what?
Orion.
Orion. So the Most High is showing you is that I have knowledge out there dealing with these, all right, Pleiades. That's a star group. They call that the Seven Sisters. And these are stars that our people, the tribe of Gad and Issachar and Zebulun over in the Americas, that, and probably the Dogon tribe over in Africa too, and probably the Mapuche down in South America. Shout out to Bam Aliyah Isa Yasha Allah of the tribe of Naphthalia. All right, so we use these. We call these like the planting stars, because every year we see these stars low on the horizon, right before sunrise when it was still dark. Right in the east, we see these stars coming up right before it was time to start planting. All right, so we can see the same thing going on now. Arcturus is called the bear. All right, that's a word for bear. Look it up in Hebrew, see what the significance of it is in Hebrew culture and Hebrew astronomy. All right, Pleiades, we read that. That's the 7 groups of stars. They call it the 7 sisters. They call it the planting stars. All right, it may even be associated with wisdom. All right, Orion, dealing with Orion's belt. All right, all of the different all of the different pyramids on the earth have at certain points at certain times of the year, significantly, I think at certain equinoxes and solstices, are pointing toward this particular constellation. So this had tremendous historical significance, but we have to see what did it signify in terms of time and in terms of planting and harvesting. Okay, planting and harvesting. All right, so we're gonna erase this just so we have a little more space. All right, let's erase all of this. Now we're going over all the scriptures, and I'm showing you all this stuff in the scriptures just so when I break out the science, you don't think it's no type of crazy stuff. But it's all talked about in the Bible, but because nobody do no breakdowns on it, because nobody really teaches about it on the streets, because nobody really studies about it, we don't really know about it. So what I'm trying to do is give you I'm trying to expose you to parts of the Bible that are significant in calculations of time that people don't teach on. Why? Because it's not interesting to a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? It's detailed, and sometimes you can't hold people's attention. And a lot of times people are teaching, man, they don't give you, brother, and you, sister, the benefit of the doubt. They think that all you want to do is be entertained and see people debating or fussing or arguing. Okay, well, sometimes you got to get in the spirit to debate, to fuss, to argue. But a lot of times people think that we can't sit still to listen, that I can't sit still to listen to you actually teach me the Bible from an academic perspective. And that's what our goal is. Not with emotionalism, not with sensationalism, not with cult of personality, but to teach you the Bible from an intelligent objective and clear viewpoint with information that you can take, review it, research it, read it, and apply it. It's not objection. I mean, it's not objective. You know, it's not a subjective viewpoint. In other words, it's not just this is how I'm skewing it to look this way. You can research it, you can look it up. It's patterns that you can see for yourself, and it's based on the Torah. Remember, we always start with the Torah. We always start with the Torah. Okay, so now let's go from here. Let's erase this, Mazaroth. Let's read Job 38 and 32 again.
Canst thou bring forth Mazaroth in his season? Or canst thou guide Arcturus with his sons? Knowest thou the ordinances of heaven? Canst thou set dominion thereof in the earth?
Can you set the dominion of the heavens on the earth? Okay. Can you do that? Is what he's asking Job. Can Job do that? Job can't do that. All right. Now, when it says right here, when it says Mazaroth, all right, the Hebrew word there is Mazarwath. Look it up. It's Mazarwath. Mazarwath. Now, the Mazarwath is, if you look at any historical data, I think even Josephus, it tells you that the Mazarwath is what we call, Mazaroth is what we call the 12 star groups that people now call the constellations, that people erroneously call the zodiac, but the Bible calls it the Mazarwath. Some people say this means animals. Some people say that this means path. All right, but we call it the Mazarwath. We're not Greeks. We're not going to use the Greek name for it. You can research the origins of this word from a Greek etymological perspective. You can see what it translated to in the Septuagint, perhaps in the Greek Bible. Okay, then you can get a Greek Old Testament that was done, and you can see what it says there. You can look in the Latin and see what the Latin called it. Look in the Latin Vulgate or whatever, see what they call it in there. But we're gonna call it the Mazarwath, and we did a class on the Mazarwath also. So Mazarwath is the 12 star group constellations. All right, that's what the Mazarwath is. Now we're getting closer and closer. I appreciate your patience. Now we're gonna break it down. Now we're gonna show you using the Mazarwath and using the principles over here: dark starts time count, equity, and a perfect contrast. We're going to use that to show you how we come up with the 13 months for this year. Okay, so let's erase all of this. All right, and we're going to DEPC. The darkness starts the time count. Equity, perfect contrast. We're going to erase this too. All right. And we're going to call that concept, let's call it DEPC. Darkness, equity, perfect contrast. That's what we read in all the scriptures that we read. We always saw that the time began with darkness. Everything was balanced out: darkness and light, good and evil, bad and good, light and dark, righteous against the wicked, good against the bad. One thing establishing the good of another, which brings us to the perfect contrast. So one thing establishes the good of another. All right. So it's two things against each other. All right, and they establish in each other. So that's the darkness. Darkness begins the time count. Equity, which means this the balancing and the evening out of everything fairly and justly. And then we have the perfect contrast. Okay, perfect contrast. That's why the Most High said, okay, not to be vulgar, but okay, when the Most High said, be fruitful and multiply, you can't take this and do nothing. All right. And you can't take this and do nothing. To produce, you need to have this and that and this and that. It needs to be a perfect balance. You see that? It needs to be a perfect balance. So the Most High, he created this, and the opposite of that is this. And this plus that equals you. That's the male organ, and that's the female organ. And when the male organ goes in the female, it produces you. That's how you got here. Unless you were test tube baby. Unless you was, made in the laboratory or something. But this male plus this male equals negative, which equals 0. This female trying to do something with another female equals negative, which equals 0. And everything that equals 0, that equals negative, goes on to the left side of the Most High and goes into the lake of fire. So, but this plus that is always going to equal 1 plus. All right? Well, it equals positive, which is life, and it equals 1 plus. When everything is working in, okay, this is, let's say, for the female organ, and that's for the male organ. So even in nature itself, the Most High still shows us that we have that perfect balance, man. We have a perfect balance between male and female. All right, male and female. Perfect balance. Perfect balance. All right. So that's what we got right there. All right, where we at now, Mario? Where are we going to? All right, so now what we can do is we can go into the actual, how do we get 13 months for this year? So now what we're going to do, we're going to take all the information we got, for example, about the constellations. And we're going to see what the constellations are. We're going to number the constellations 1 through 12. All right. I'm not going to use the symbols that they use. I'm going to just use the number, and I'm going to show you the degree where the constellation is at in that circle of stars. All right. Because when you look scientifically, astronomically, the constellations are divided into 12 groups. And in each group of 12, it occupies 30 degrees of space. So that 30 degrees of space times 12 different sections gives us 360 degrees, which gives us the circle, which is what we already reviewed. So we're not going to go back there again. All right. All right. So now what we're going to do is let's do the circle. Okay. Let's do the circle, and let's do 1, 7. All right. Now my circle is kind of funny shape, so don't trip on that. It doesn't mean nothing. And then you have 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Let's fill in these blanks. 1, 2. Yeah. 4. So 1, right? 2, 3, 4. 7. Yeah, isn't it right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7, 4. So here we got 3 and 2. And we have 5 and 6. All right. We have 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right. So you have 7. Move 1. So right down that. So you have 10 is right here, right? So 10, and then 11, and then 12. You have 8. You have 9. No, 7. And then you have 8. And after 8, you have 9. All right, so here is, that's the opposite to that one. Okay, these are the two opposites. All right, so now when you get into the 7th month, it's going to be, the opposite is going to be down here. Okay, this is how the moon is working. All right, so when the sun and the moon are in this when the sun is in this constellation, this one is pretty clear, opposite of it. All right around the sunset area. When the sun is in the second constellation, see how they both, all right, it's going to be over here. Now, when the sun is in this second constellation right here, it's going to be over here. When it's in third constellation, it's going to be right there. Right? When it's in the fourth constellation, it's going to be over there, opposite, see? Fourth. When it's in the fifth one, all right, it's going to be over here with this one. When it's in the sixth one, it's going to be over here with that, all right? And then when it's back again, 7th one is going to line up with the 1 again. So everything always lines up. Everything all, because it's opposite to the other one. So when you look at this 12th, the second constellation, in the middle of the month, the sun is here. So in the middle of the month, you look over, and the moon should be right here, because that's half of the circuit that the moon is making through all 12 constellations. All right. Hope I'm not losing nobody. All right. Hope I'm not losing nobody. All right. So this is the first constellation. So what we're going to do, this is what we're going to do. All right. We're going to do the first calendar of last year. Okay. So remember, we're waiting for this. We're not just going through 12. This is still moving. This is still moving. But sometimes you're going to have 13 because it may move in between these constellations more than once. The moon, it might move here once between, after the 5, but then it may stay in the 5 and then go into the 6. All right. So that means that you're actually going to be on number 6 right here. Then 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then 1. All right, then 1. So that's why sometimes you have 13 months. So, but you're looking at the constellations. You're not just looking at how many months do I have. You're not just looking at the equinox. You're not just looking at the solstice. You're looking at how many months do I have in what constellation. All right. So now, what we can do. Now, we already went through all of the information, and we already went through the science for everything. All right. So what we'll do now is we'll go. So right here, when the year started, let's go back to when the year started. Now remember, don't trip on the dates, because the dates right here. Okay, these dates are going to be Greenwich -4, or when we start when we start from March, Greenwich -4, which is going to be Eastern Daylight Savings Time. All right, Eastern Daylight Savings Time. All right, so I'm gonna be subtracting in my head because I'm not. Well, I guess I can put down when did the actual new moon occur, which would be good for you, and then I can show you how that day begins, which is when we observe the Kadash. All right. So let's say the 17th of March, 3/17. Okay. And it was at 9:12 a.m. So we'll say 09:12. And it's in the 12th give me a second. So we're in the 12th constellation, but we're at 26 degrees. We're at 26 degrees and we have 53 minutes. If you ever use like a map or a compass, you'll know about your degrees and your minutes. All right. The minutes go up to 60. The degrees go up to 30. All right. So when we get some seconds, we'll work that into the equation too. But right now, we're not dealing with the second. We're dealing with just now. We do have apps that will give you the seconds also. All right. But we're not dealing with the seconds right now. We're dealing with the just the degrees and the minutes. All right. So that's where it's at. It's in the 12th constellation, so it's right here. 12th constellation, but it's right here, right on the tip of it. So the sun and the moon, they lined up like right around here. They lined up right around there. Okay. They lined up right around there. So so now what happened is, let's go into it. Now on the 17th, what they call an ingress, okay, happened on the 17th. All right. So now when we go back and look, the moon started to go into the first constellation on the 17th, a little bit after this. So after it lined up at 26 right here, all right, it went into this constellation. So now the moon spent most of it, and the sun. The sun moved over here too. We can tell you exactly the date that the sun started to move over there. All right. The sun moved over there on the 21st. All right. 21st, 4 days later. All right. So let's say there's a constellation, and that's 17, 21. That's going to be for the moon. That's going to be for the sun. So that's when the moon and the sun, when they split apart. The moon moved into the next constellation. All right, on the 17th, that same day, later on in the day. Because remember, they aligned at 2 a.m. and 9 a.m. So it has all these hours now, almost 12 hours to get into so it's moving pretty fast. All right, so now when the 14th, so right now, right here, we're going to be in Abib. Now this is for, let me write this over here so nobody. So this is going to be for the year 2018. All right. So that's for 2018. All right. Began on now the time was 9 a.m. So for us, it would have been what? The 16th at sunset. All right. So now we know that we went into the month on the 16th. So when the 9 a.m. came, you were already keeping that day holy. So boom. So we right there. And so we right there. So now what happened is this is going to be in the first constellation, which is the Lamb. So which is the Lamb. So we go and get the Lamb on the 10th day, all right, of Abib. And then when we get it on the 10th day, we kill it on the 14th day in the evening. Well, when you go into, all right, let's see. So we have, this is the 16th. Now let's go. Let's count. Okay, so you got 16 is the beginning. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. All right. 21. All right, let me get this back up again. So 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. All right, so the 14th day is on the 29th at sunset. The 15th day is on the 30th at sunset. All right, so now when we look at when did the moon go into the seventh constellation? All right, when did the moon go into the seventh constellation? Now, the seventh constellation is going to be the scales. Scales to weigh. It's going to be the scales. Now, this constellation right here, the first one, is going to be the sheep. The sheep. So he was led like a what? Give me Isaiah 53. He was led like a sheep to the slaughter, yet he opened not his mouth. Isaiah 53. Look at verse like 5 or 6. He was led like, give me that verse real quick. So this is all about Christ, which in the Hebrew is Yahushai HaMashiach. Some people say Yeshua HaMashiach or Yehoshua HaMashiach. Okay, let's get a maybe some. Let's look at this one. Put that back. Sure. Yeah, go ahead. Try to find it more. Read verse 6 and 7.
All we like sheep have gone astray.
So Isaiah 53 and 6, right? All we like sheep have gone astray. Every sheep goes away where it's not supposed to be at some time. Go ahead.
We have turned every one his own way.
So everyone has gone in his own direction. This is talking about the nation of Israel, our people, the ones that came here in slavery and the ones that were already here. All right, go ahead.
And Yahweh hath laid on him the iniquity of us all.
So all of our iniquity was laid on Yahushai. Go ahead.
He was oppressed. He was afflicted.
He was oppressed, meaning he was pressed down, pushed down, treated bad, and afflicted. They put bad things on him. Evil things happened to him at the hands of the Romans and his own people. Go ahead.
Yet he opened not his mouth.
Yet he did not open his mouth. Read.
He is brought as a lamb.
As a what?
As a lamb.
In the Passover, we had to sacrifice a what?
A lamb.
The 10th day, we took a what?
A lamb.
The 14th day, we took a what?
A lamb.
He was led as a lamb to the slaughter. He led as a lamb to what?
To the slaughter.
A lamb to the slaughter. He was led as a lamb to the slaughter. So they took him and they killed him. Read.
And as a sheep before his shearers.
As a what?
A sheep.
As a sheep before his shearers is what?
Is dumb.
What's a shearer? A shearer is the person when they cut the wool off. Wool is the clothes. This is wool. This is wool. So if you strip this off of me, I'm gonna be naked. Well, I got an undertunic on, but they stripped down Yahushua, took his clothes off. That's what it means to say he's led as a sheep to the shearer. They took his clothes off. They took the wool off of him. They plucked his beard out, man. They plucked his beard out. They put a crown of thorns on his head. Okay, read.
So he opened his not his mouth.
He didn't say nothing. He just took the punishment like a man. Read.
He was taken from prison and from judgment. And who shall declare his generation? For he was cut off from out of the land of the living. For the transgression of my people he was stricken.
So he was stricken for the transgression of our people. Read.
And he made his grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death, because he had done no violence, neither was any deceit in his mouth.
Right.
Yet it pleased Yahweh to bruise him.
It pleased Yahweh to bruise him. Right.
He hath put him to grief.
Now read verse 5.
But he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for iniquities.
So read that again.
But he was wounded for our transgressions.
He was wounded for our transgressions. Read.
He was bruised for our iniquities.
Read it again.
He was bruised for our iniquities.
You read too fast, man. Slow down. I want to hear that pronoun. Read.
He was bruised for our iniquities.
So you read each word individually and stop. Pause after each word and then go to the next one. Go ahead.
He was bruised for our...
Oh, you didn't pause after 4. That's the problem right there. Read it again.
He was bruised for our iniquities.
For our. I don't know what word you said. Our. The our. He was bruised for our iniquities. Read.
The chastisement of our peace was upon him.
The chastisement, the punishment to bring us peace was upon him. Read.
And with his stripes.
And with his stripes. What happened?
We are healed.
That's how he brought the scales back. The Father Yahweh gave us atonement for our sins with the stripes and the punishment and the sins that we committed being put on him. So that's how we got the scales, because the weight was put all on him. That's why he said, come unto me, all ye that are burdened and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. The scales were tipped, were made back right when he was crucified, when he was murdered, put to death as a sacrifice for our sins. And that's what set everything back what? We've been talking about this all of this whole class, right? That's when the scales were put back in place. All right? That's when the scales were put back right. All right? And that's why when you look at that particular constellation, which is the seventh constellation, they call it this. They call it. All right? This is a scale. That's the scale. And you got your little weights that you put over here. You got the same weights that you put over here, and it balances everything out. All right? It balances everything out. And that's why they call this the libra. And that's why the definition for the word pound is LB. All right? Libra. Okay? And that's why, you know, we have a Spanish word for this scale, with libra. Okay? I believe. So that's why this is when he balanced out our sins and our iniquity, it made everything back right with Yahweh. That sacrifice that we made in Israel took place on this day. All right. So now, on this time period, all right, when we go into the 30th of this month on Eastern Daylight Time, the 30th of March, this is where it was at. This is where the moon was at. Again, that full moon that you see on Passover always happens in the constellation of the scales, because the Most High is making everything back right with Israel. So now when we come over to here on the 7th month, when we come to the 7th month again, on the day of the Day of Atonement, it ain't gonna be right there. But when we come into the Feast of Booths and Tabernacle, because Yahweh shall have come into us and he dwells within us, that's when we're gonna be back inside the constellation of the sheep again. Okay, we're gonna be back inside the constellation of the sheep. So it's the opposite. 1 and 7 across from each other, both are significant. All right, both are significant. So now, if you was to go and let's say, now, so that's where we were at on the first day. All right. So now you can write this down for yourself. Now remember, I'm only going to give you the constellation and the date and the position. I'm going to give you the date, the constellation number, and then the position that it's in. All right. So now, maybe you can get up here and do a little bit of writing. I don't know. Let's see. Are you camera worthy, man? Camera worthy? You want to get on camera? You cool? All right. He said he cool. All right. So, are you right-handed, right? So maybe you can write right there. Then just show us your hand. Maybe you can see. But you can see you got to come all the way up here to get on the camera. If you're back here, you're not really on the camera. See, I knew the Most High gave me right hand son for a reason. All right, so just put and take that, put that right there. All right, so now what we're gonna do, put put 3:15 up here, close over here as you can, and small character, small, not that small, man. Mm-hmm. $3.15, all right, and then put 2157. You got to do something else to that angle you're holding at, man. That's what's messing it up. 21. Just put 2157 together. All right, and then put dash. Then put 1. Put 1, and then put 5608. I mean 2608. I'm sorry, 2602. All right. And then let's put and then put 3. Now put put 5, yeah, 3. No, that should be 415, my bad. Put you know what? We already got the dates. So I'm gonna just put the position that they were in when the day started, but I'm gonna put the position that that they were in when the new moon happened. Oh, I don't think we really need the time just about it now. Actually, let me go ahead and do something real quick. 1 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All right, 11. That's 11. That's 11. And then this what happened. 11 and 12. All right. 12. So this show what happened. So when you get to 12 months, actually, you know what? Let me go back, review this again, but I think I'm gonna show month number 12 from right here. When you go into the 12th month from right here, the 12th lunar cycle. Okay. The 12th month, we look at the raw data right here. All right. The 12th month happened in the so-called the second Gentile month, February, on the 4th. Okay. And it happened at 16:04 hours. Okay, now it happened actually in the 11th constellation. So we in the 11th constellation. The 11th constellation, and we at 15:45. So we right here. We're like in the middle of that constellation. That's where we are when the 11th month came around. We're in the 11th constellation. We didn't go into the 12th constellation yet. Okay. So now, let's go into the so-called March. Now, when you go into March, so-called March, okay, when you look at, which is the 5th, which was where we just started, right? We're in March constellation now, 3-5. Now, the new moon time, it happened at, it happened on the 6th, all right? The event happened on the 6th, and it happened at 12:04, all right? So if it happened at 12:04, it actually happened in 1547. The 12th constellation at 1547. Right now, when that happened, the moon, I'm sorry, Salakia, the sun won't be into the first constellation until sun won't be there until the 21st. Now remember, since this happened on the 12th, on the 6th, at 12:04 on the 6th, when did that day start? The day started on 3/5. So 3/5 is when we start to observe the new moon. So when we come into the 6th at 12 noon Eastern Standard or Eastern Eastern time, when 12 noon happens, we already keeping that whole day as a holy day. All right. But the sun is right here. Was right here. All right. It was in the sun was right here on during this 12th the 12th month. All right, but it's in the 11th constellation. So over here, we're in the 12th constellation around the same time. Now, if you were to observe Passover starting from right there, okay, let's show you. You will be like just on the outside of this constellation right here around the middle of the month. All right, so let's say 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, which would be around the 10th. Well, yeah, the 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So what was that? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So on the 19th, Passover, on the 19th of Passover, we would not be in this constellation. Okay? We would not be in this constellation. Remember, that goes with that, that goes with that, all right? So this goes with this. So now this one is going to go with this one. So we'd be in the 6th constellation. Okay? We'd be in that 6th constellation right here. This is where we'd be at. We wouldn't be in the 7th, but we have to go by the sign. That's what the Most I say. These constellations are for signs and seasons, days and years. So when Passover comes, we have to be in this constellation because of what this constellation means. And it's 14 days after the sun and the moon lined up around the first constellation. The sun passes in the first constellation, and then the moon's going to pass to the first constellation. So let's show what's actually going to happen once we come into so-called April. Okay? And so-called April, now the sun and the moon, all right, on April 5th is going to happen. It's going to happen at 0431. All right, 0451. So like this, 0451, and it's going to be in the first constellations, 15 degrees and 17 minutes. Now, once Passover comes around on the 18th, we're going to be in toward the end of the first constellation. I mean, toward the end of this constellation right here. All right, so let's look at see exactly where we're going to be at. Well, we can't show exactly. We can give a good estimate. Okay. Let's just look at the 10 degrees. So on the 18th at midnight, all right, we're going to be at 10 degrees. And on the 19th at midnight, so on the 18th at sunset, we're going to begin a Passover. So once midnight comes in, which is about the time we left Egypt, we're going to be in 10 degrees. All right, we're going to be in 10 degrees. All right, 10 degrees of the 7th constellation. We're going to be in 10 degrees 11. So this year we're going to be at 10, 11, around midnight. So now that's where we're at. So now that's midnight when the day first starts. So now when we get into after that midnight, we have a whole day that comes around, and then we start keeping it, on, because remember, we still gonna be in the 14th day at midnight. So we're still gonna be in the 14th day at midnight. So once we leave that 14th day at midnight, and the sun goes down after that on the 18th at sunset, now we're gonna be going into the 15th day. All right, which is still gonna be, so now at midnight at the 19th, which now that the day is over, now it's gonna be in 24 degrees. All right, it's gonna be at 24 degrees. You see what I'm saying? So now it's gonna be past the middle, but going toward the end now. It ain't gonna be there. It's gonna be past there, going toward the end at 24 degrees. So we catching it right here. All right. Somewhere around here. All right, actually, you can say if that's 15, that'll be about 5, 10, 15. 5. All right, so you guys a little more than 15. Right? So we're gonna be around here when we start to observe and do the Passover in this 7th constellation. You see that? In this 7th constellation, which is the scales that tip everything off. Now, if we was to try to do that in this month, so-called March, okay, that would be like around what the around like the 19th, right, for the 14th day. We don't even enter into the 7th constellation until the 20th at sunset. So we would be a day off now. So it's that precise. And that's why the way we're doing it for the constellations is going to be the best way to do it. Because now let's go back and review. And that's why you got to really go back and look at an ephemeris for yourself. Because you're probably going to see a day when all of them were kind of plugged in together. All right, so we got 1545. We have 1525. Let's go back to 18. Go from last year again, so-called 2016. All right, so we in the when we start the year, we were in the 12th constellation, in the 1st constellation, 2nd constellation, 3rd constellation, 4th constellation, 5th constellation, 6th constellation. Actually, let's go back. I think I saw something right here. False alarm. I think it's messing up now. So hope I'm not boring y'all, but that's pretty much how we get the 13 months, because it goes by the constellation, not just the new moons, because the new moon begins the month, but the new moon position doesn't always begin the year, because it has to line up with the constellation. Okay, and that's what we can't really forget about that. It has to line up with the constellations. Yeah. And then also, it goes up and down. So it's not just based on counting the moons, but you also looking at the constellations, and everything has to reconcile and balance back out. All right. You have to balance the middle of the year, not even the middle of the year, but the Passover has to balance back out. So now, once you go from there, you look at the 7th month, the middle of the 7th month is going to be inside so-called Aries. So that's how we got 13 months this year, because the constellation movement is what we're looking at. All right, the water. we're looking at not the constellation movement, but we're looking at the moon and the sun traveling through the constellations also. And once that happens, now we got to see where is that 15th day when we're supposed to be keeping this feast. So we keep the feast of the booths, of that goes into the sukkah and the huppah, and us, the bride of Yahushua, and dwelling with him is going to be that feast is going to take place in the first constellation every year. And when we do Passover, the Passover begins in the 7th constellation every year. Now this conforms to what Yahweh said to us in Genesis chapter 1, verse 14. All right. So I hope, Shalom, Ariel, sons of Jacob. I hope it makes sense to you. Now I'm gonna do another video when I can. I'm gonna do another video when I can, so that we can actually show you, and you can mark it for yourself. All right, you can mark it for yourself. Now, a lot of these tools, the scientific and the deep depths of the knowledge are available from the U.S. Naval Observatory and some stuff from NASA. But it's scientific for all the flat Earth people. It's scientific. It deals with the sun and the moon, so you can't hate on that. It's there. I mean, you can measure it. It's quantifiable movements. You know what I'm saying? So nobody disputes that. So you can, it's there. But what happens is that a lot of people that do astronomy, which is wrong, they take that data and they're the ones that compile it so you can see the actual charts and the movements. And that's where most of the sources coming from. Secondary source. Primary source is Naval Observatory with the ephemeris and sunrise and sunset, and what constellation each planet, what constellation each the sun is going to be in, the moon is going to be in. Okay, so it tells us where everything is going to be at also. So yeah, so that's that's something. I'm just thinking something to myself. I'm just thinking something to myself about how I never seen nothing positioning where the Earth was in every constellation. Because is the Earth in the middle of the circle? Is the Earth right here, and the sun is right here, and the moon is right here, and the Earth is at the center. And you can look at all 12 all times of the year. You got to check that out too. Why is the why don't we have that set up like that? You can see everything from the Earth, but you can't. The moon and the sun are moving around these constellations, so it's relative to us. So anyway, on that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, does this 5 mean that before Passover, before the feast days, celebrating us coming out of Egypt, because both of them revolve around Egypt, us coming out of captivity to dwell in Egypt, okay? Us coming out of Egypt from dwelling in Egypt, then we dwelt in the wilderness, and us coming out of Egypt from slavery, and then dwelling in our own land 40 years later. So now, are these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps in between? Are these 5 constellations in between the first and the 7th? Is this significant of the Torah? Is this significant of us seeing Yahweh in the Torah, of us becoming compliant with the Torah, of us learning how to obey the Torah, of us learning how to walk more in obedience to Yahweh in the name of Yahweh, who is in the Torah, who is the Lamb of the Torah? He's the judge and he's the lawyer to give us the scales of balance on the Passover as that sacrifice, that sacrificial lamb. All right, so now he's that sheep during the Feast of Booths, and we dwell in the house of the Most High. We dwell in our house with Yahweh. We dwell under his shadow, with him on this day, the 15th. All right, and then on the 14th and the 15th on Pesach. So that's why we have 13 months this year, because the constellations were moving they started out, the year started out with the constellations at the back end. All right, the new moon started out at the back end of the constellations. And as they were at the back end, it pushed everything forward a little bit. That's why once we got the Passover around here, we're in the 15th constellation because it's pushing everything forward. So as it pushes it forward, okay, the constellation that is in by the 12th month was not the month that where everything would have lined up for Passover. If people, you forget, sometimes it's easy for us to forget that we have to use the constellations as the backdrop. Those are what we use for signs and seasons, days, and years. And we went over that at the beginning of the lesson, showing how it's talking about the constellation being used for the seasons and for the years as a circle of stars, not talking about just the sun and the moon. All right, so that's pretty much it for now. All right. All right, so that's pretty much it for now. But guess what? You get to see we're gonna do the actual changing. We're gonna do the actual changing of the calendar right now. All right, so you can see where you at, what day we on. All right, and you're gonna see the day start. We're gonna change the day right now because we're in a new day now. Sun has gone down, so now the East Coast and the West Coast, everything's lined up. So now we're no longer in the 4th day of the week now. Sun went down, so now we're in the 5th day of the week. We're in the 5th day of the week. We're no longer in the first day. We're no longer in the first day of the 13th month. We're in the 2nd day of the 13th month. So now we're no longer 30 days. The new moon, the next new moon is no longer going to occur in 30 days. It's going to occur in 29 days. All right. So this, and this, the first, second, and fourth number are going to change every day. 1 times 2 is 2, and 2 times 2 is 4. Those are the days of the week, days of the month, days of the week, days of the week, days of the week, days of the week, days of the week. So this is the day of the week. This is the day of the month. This is the month, day of the week, day of the month, the days until we get to the next month. So on the 29th day, we're going to be on the 29th day from now. And he said this says 1. When the sun goes down, we're going to change this, all right, to 2. The 13th month is going to change to 1. And this number right here is going to be however many days we have to go until we get to the 2nd month. So write this down again in your little notebooks and your calendars. So we're going to do it together from right to left. So we're going over here. We're going to have the day of the week. That's the first column. Right then over here, we're going to have the date, which is our date, which is we're in the 2nd day now. That's the date. 2nd day of our month. Okay, that's of our month. And then after that, you're going to have the days until the next month. And over here, we're going to have the number of the next month. So make your little chart like this. Day of the week, our date, our month, the days into the next month, and then the number of the next month. All right. So we say right now we're in the 5th day of the week, the second day of the 13th month, and we have 29 days until the first month of the year. So this is how we're going to do it. So I want you to go ahead and make a little tablet. All right. So if I call you or send you a message like, hey, send me a picture. If I call you in 3 days and say, can you send me a picture of your date book? You should send me a picture that starts with this, or starts with, 4, 1, and 30. So it's 1. The daily change is going to be 1 times 2 times 2 is 4. 1 times 2 is 4. 1 times 2 is 2, and 2 times 2 is 4. So your first, second, and fourth column, you're going to change every day. Every sunset, you're going to change this. Bam. So now, whatever the Gentile calendar says, okay, you're looking at that, whatever. So now you know, man, and also remember that what we need to put on here also is how many days until the next holy day. And we got Passover coming up too. So now Passover, I believe now is gonna be the Passover is gonna be 14 plus 13. Now I think it's gonna be like Passover is gonna be here. We're gonna be the next month, and then Passover is gonna be on the Feast of Unleavened Bread is gonna be on the 15th day. So it'll be this number plus 14. All right, plus 14 is to give us 43 days. So 43 days is gonna be Passover. Remember, the first day of the month is going to be on the 29th day. That's gonna be the first day of the month. So that's in 29 days. Then Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread, is going to take place between the 14th and the 15th day. So we'll put the 15th as as the significant time, because that's when, as the sun's going down, you have to start to begin to observe that day. So now in another it's going to be 13 days. In the evening is when you do your ceremony. All right? On the 14th day of the month. All right, so 13 days after the first. So then on the 14th day after the month, which will be the 15th, is when we do the feast. All right, the feast of matzos. Matzah, a feast of unleavened bread. All right, so that's how we're going to do that too. So instead of me giving you the Gentile days, we're gonna just do a countdown. Matter of fact, I'm gonna try to press this up. And what I want to do is I want to do it on the have the 7 columns. All right. I have the 7 columns set up. You understand? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 going across. So we know we're on this day of the week. And then we just look, okay, over here, okay, what month is okay? We're in the 12th month. All right. And you go every day, you got your countdown. All right. How many days until next month? So you say 1. And then when you come into the next month, how many days until next month? On that first day, you put, okay, 29 or 30 days, we're going to be in the next month. All right. So that's how we do it. Everybody with me? Well, make sure you do this. You're not going to understand your time if you're not marking and noting your time. You're so used to Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. You're so used to that, and you're accustomed, and it's programmed in your brain. But now when you start to do the Hebrew calendar, the Hebrew time, you reprogram yourself. All right, so that's about it. That's about it. So we already reviewed this. So now Passover is coming up on so-called April 18th. All right, the afternoon and then the evening sunset is the 14th and the 15th day of Abib coming together on April 18th. All right, so that's the first day. It's not the 19th. It's not the 19th. It begins on April 18th at sunset. Okay, that's when it begins. Feast of Unleavened Bread. Before the sunset is going to be the Pesach. All right, so that's it. That's how we do it. Shema Yasha Allah, Yahweh, Allahayna, Yahweh Kad, Abarakakam Yahweh, Basham, Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai. Hail Israel, Yahweh, our power, Yahweh is one. Yahweh bless you all. In the name of Yahweh Shai, Hamashiach. And I think that's about it. Now remember the principles, all right. The debt or the dark begins the DEPC. The darkness begins the time count. We have to have equity, all right? Equity. Everything needs to be scaled and balanced between the phases of the moon and the day that we're looking at. Then we have the PC, which is the perfect contrast. That's when everything lines up, even though they're on opposite sides of the equation. They still balance each other out, like a male and a female. They balance it out. That's a perfect contrast, all right? So that's what when we deal with time and the calendar, whether it's a lunar Sabbath or whether it's the lunar Sabbath or whether it's the crescent moon, they need, you need, we need, I need to be able to explain all of these things to you, DEPC, in order for you to give me some form of credibility. If you ask me about the seasons, if you ask me about the times, if you ask me about the darkness, all right, I need to show you, all right, the darkness begins the phase. We saw that from Genesis. That's what I need to show you first when I'm telling you about the new month and when I'm telling you about the week beginning or whether I'm telling you about the day beginning. I need to start with the darkness. We showed that in Genesis, all right? And then we got the equity. We showed that in Genesis. It's in Genesis, but then we went to Ecclesiasticus and gave you more insight. The Most High gives us more information, all right? So that's giving you the balance. That equity gives us the balance of everything. So everything is fair. Like everything has to line up and be perfect. That moves us into the perfect contrast. Right, the perfect contrast. So what is the perfect contrast of this theory or of this doctrine? Show me the contrast. Show me the contrast in the process, in the cycle. Show me where everything is going to be contrast. Let me give you an example. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. So when we get here, okay, here's the middle of the month. All right, here's the middle of the month. See that? Each side is like a menorah. See? Each side is like a menorah. Here's the 4 in the middle. 1 plus 7 is 8. All right. 7 minus 1 is 6. All right. 6 plus 2 is 8. 6 minus 2 is 4. All right. 5 plus 3 is 8. 5 minus 3 is 2. And then 4 is in the middle all by itself. All right. So the number I come to, this one, 7, is going to be my number. All right, I'm sorry, 8. 5 plus 3 is going to be 8. So all these numbers on each side add up to 8. Everything is mathematical with the Most High. See how everything, so now you can't break that. This is eternal. All right, 1 and 7 is 8. 2 and 6 is 8. 3 and 4 is 3 and 5 is 8. And then this cuts everything down the middle. All right, so 4 and 4 is 8. Okay, 4 and 4 is 8. Right. So now, if I say, okay, 8, 3, and 5. All right, that's gonna give me what? 8. So if I do 3, if I do 5 minus 3, I'm right back here. See that one? I'm right back here. If I do 6, all right, 6 plus is 8. All right. If I do 6 minus 4, I'm over here. All right, I'm over here. All right, so you got 2 and 4. We got the 6. Where we get the 6 from? Because, 6, 7 plus 1 is 8. But 6 minus 2, 7 minus 1 is 6. Now if I go to 6, 6 plus 2 is 8. Everything adds up to 8. But then if I do 6 minus 2, that's going to give me 4. So I skip over. So I got 6, 4, 2, 1, 3, and 5. So if I do 6, 4, and 2, and if I do 7, 5, 3, and 1, 6, 4, 2, that's going to give me 12. All right? That's going to give me 16. All right, so but that's the 12 is the significant number we're looking at, that 2, 4, and that 8. That 2, 4, and 6. Okay. So that's what we mean when we say that the Most High gave us perfect contrast when he gave us them numbers, when he gave us those patterns, man. He did everything perfectly for us, and everything works out, beautifully. Everything works out beautifully. Lamatazah. I have locks that were woven into my hair, and I can unweave them also. So yeah, there was locks woven in my hair. Okay, all right. The locks that's woven into hair. All right, so this is like the menorah. So in the week, we see the menorah, we see the 7 pillars of wisdom, and we see the second principle that I'm teaching you, which is equity, which is the balance between everything. You see that? Everything is balanced. You got 4, and you got 2 sides. As you move out from each side, you got 8. 4, 8, 8, and 8. See that? 4, 8, 8, and 8. As you move out, you got 4, 8, 8, and then 8. So that's what I mean when I say the Most High, he gives us principles and everything is balanced. That's the equity. And then with that equity, bam, bam, with that equity, now we got the perfect contrast. Okay? 7 is at the opposite end of the 1. All right. Now the 2 is on the opposite end with the 6. But that 2 plus that 6 is always going to get you back to 7. All right. It's always going to get you back to 7, man. So everything's about the math, and knowing and seeing that pattern. And that's how we get our years and our months set up. But if you don't see or you don't notice the patterns, man, then you're going to be fussing and arguing with somebody. But wisdom shows us everything. We have to, and that's why the second main principle is equity in the middle. You see, so we got to have equity in whatever we teaching and whatever we doing. I know y'all has been with me all this time. I salute you. I salute you. Now, if you've been sitting still, listening, taking notes, I super duper salute you now. All right, I super salute you now. So, that's about it. Now we see that once again. Let me draw this circle one last time. That's the first month. That's the 7th constellation. That's the 4th one. That's the 10th. That's the 11th. 12th. That's the 8th. 9th. That's the fifth, 6. That's the second, and that's the third. So this one is going to line up with this one. This one is going to line up with this one. This one with this one. All right. This one, this one, this one, this one, and the 6th one with the 12th one. So when you look at them, these are the different constellations. 12 groups, right? Each one is 30 degrees. So 1 to 2 is 30 degrees, and then the 7th one to the 8th one is 30 degrees. So it's 30 degrees and 30 degrees times 12, right? 30 degrees times 12. All right, let's do the math. We're going to do the math. You got 0, you got 6. All right, so that's, 30 times 2 is 60. You come down to your hundreds place, and then you do 1 times 0, which is 0, and then you do 1 times 3, which is 3. All right, so now you got 60 and 300. Now what you do is you add 300 and 60. But I remember this is supposed to be 30 degrees. So your number is showing it. You want to see how many degrees are in 12 places. So now you've got 60 degrees plus 30 degrees, 300 degrees, which gives you 360 degrees, which gives you a perfect square or a perfect circle. But we're dealing with the circle because that's what Solomon told us, all right? The circle of stars, all right? So everything is balanced out, all right? Now, when you write here, that 1 and 2, that's going to give you 8, right? That 2 to 8, that's going to give you 10. So you got 8, 10, and that 6 to what? That 9 to 3 is going to give you 12. And this one, that 6 to 10 is going to give you, that 4 to 10 is going to give you 14. That 5 and 11 is going to give you 16. And that 7 going back to the 12 is going to give you 18. And then that 7 coming back over here is going to give you 1. Now, you can also subtract, because when you subtract it, you're going to still get, when you subtract the larger number from the small number, you're going to stay at 6. Right? So this is going to be, because it's going to be 6 spaces between until you get to the next one. So if I'm right here, I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'm at the beginning of 7. All right? So I'm actually going 1 full cycle, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 full cycles until I get to 7 again. Right, so it's really 6 full cycles in between, but it's 5 ordinal cycles, in between. All right. So if we were subtracting the larger from the smaller, we would say, you can say subtract, and then that negative over here building up, which gets back to what I said about that balancing everything out. All right. So you got negative 6. All right. Then you got negative 6, and then you got negative 6. And then over here, once you get to 7, now you got 7 subtract 1 is 6. 8 subtract 2 is 6. 9 subtract 3 is, now you want a positive end, of 6 again instead of negative 6. Okay? And all of it, all right? When you got that 12 times that 6, you're gonna get 72. Right now, what significance is the 72? got to ask yourself that question and do your research. All right. All right. So you got to do the research on that yourself. Right. So this is the constellation, and now we can see the balance in it. When we're in the first constellation, in the middle of the month comes, we're gonna be ready on that 14th day. We're gonna see the scales, because Yahushua paid the price for our sins. All right. So now he's that sacrifice on the Passover when he got crucified. So this actually happened. The lamb or the sheep of Yahweh was actually taken to justice. The scales was false. The scales was false. They put him a crown and a purple robe on, and then he paid the price for our sins. So he brought the scales back balanced. Okay, so that's pretty much it for today. I'm gonna take a little break. Try to get me some food. I smell some lamb cooking. So get some lamb. So may the Most High be with you in the name of Yahushua Hamashiach. All right, so that's it for today. See you in a little while. I'll be back on maybe in about an hour, hour and a half to do the daily Torah class. All right, we're gonna do the daily Torah class. So we're going by the little Gentile calendar, so I think that we're going to be in the third Torah portion right now. All right, so may Yahweh be with you. In the name of Yahushua Hamashiach, Shalom to come. Oh no, that's odd, ain't it? If we are.